recording now, Brian.
Great.
Hello and welcome to Flick This Movie. I am René Garcia.
And I'm Brian Glass.
And today we are reviewing Anna.
Yes.
Brian. That's what
correct.
we're reviewing. And I don't know if I should mention this horrible lighting right now. No? We'll save that for later? We'll just go with it?
Just go with it.
Just go with it.
That's how we roll.
And my
Speaking of
burned
rolling.
retinas, I can't see anything anymore. All right, well, before we roll the trailer, if you've just stumbled on this channel, please give us a like and subscribe, and tell your friends. There you go. That was a good plug.
Leave a comment, too. Leave a comment.
Yes, comments are always welcome.
Of course.
And if you know me personally, or Brian personally, leave a comment on the actual video. Don't text us your comment about how funny and how much you enjoyed the show and all of that.
Because we wouldn't want anyone else to know that.
Yeah, exactly. Don't be ashamed. Don't be ashamed that, you know us, and we'll prove that to the world.
That's right.
Let's go to the trailer.
Let's do it.
If I can find my mouse, my pointer. Here we go. And we're rolling the trailer now.
It's quite the fairy tale you got going on here. From top flight model in Moscow to rubbing shoulders with the elite.
Ooh la la.
What was the nature of your relationship with Oleg Filenkov? You entered his hotel at 1:37 p.m. Did you
Just get
notice
to the
anything
killing, and then I'll stop
suspicious?
the trailer.
Like what?
There it
I like
is.
this commentary. The new commentary aspect is nice.
Okay, that's enough. That's enough of that.
Maybe I should provide some commentary on the trailer as it's rolling. Things are happening.
Hey, Brian,
People
what do you
might be-
do? Stop it.
Sorry. Renee, can you explain to me how a sausage is made? Maybe later.
What does that mean?
I was telling you what's going on behind the scenes.
Oh, okay. I thought that was my mind went somewhere else.
Fantastic.
So, Brian,
Yes, Renee.
what did you think of Anna?
Anna.
Written and directed by Luc Besson.
I love Luc Besson.
Do you?
First and foremost,
Do
I
you
do.
really?
He's got a strange way of doing his things. I mean, I really like his movies. I like his choices of framing. He seems to always have like interesting things going on in the shots. Everything always looks really good. Like the production values always seem really high in his movies. Maybe even too high in some of them. But I like, Fifth Element. It's one of those movies that I walked out of. I'm like, did I like that movie? And then afterwards, I'm like, I really kind of did. Like, because whenever it comes on, I'll watch it. I just enjoy it. I enjoyed Lucy. I enjoyed 2/3 of Lucy. I really like Leon, or The Professional here in the United States. And he is actually the director of one of my very favorite movies of all time, which most people don't even know about, which is called The Big Blue. No real known cast, maybe Roseanne Arquette, but otherwise it's kind of an unknown. So I've always been a fan of his movies, and I felt like Anna did not disappoint. It was a 2-hour movie. It felt like it was an hour and a half to me. It just like moved really, really quickly. It was like briskly paced and well written and fun and acted well. And I don't really have a lot of criticism for the movie that is negative. With the exception of maybe one big one, and that is, one of his conventions that he uses for this movie. And I got to tell you, Renee, that I was really tempted to ask you, to take this review and just like cut it up and put 3 minutes earlier, two minutes later, 30 seconds earlier, because we do a lot of time jumps in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it becomes it's a convention that he employs. And I think it's an interesting way to do it. And to kind of see alternative sides of scenes, and there's just more to explore. I think it was really well used in the beginning. Like maybe the first half, I was really enjoying that. Like what's going on, and I'm not giving anything away here, but what's going on in the Moscow marketplace, and how that whole thing played out. But after a while, it kind of becomes more predictable in terms of its usage. Like I knew when he was going to use it to explain what just happened, because otherwise it would make no sense. Right. So, it's one of those questions of like Memento, if they rearranged it, would it still make sense as a movie, or would it still be a good movie? I liked it I just felt like it was overdone. But overall, I still really enjoyed the movie. I can go into more details, but I'm kind of curious what your first thoughts were of the movie.
I love this movie. And I don't say that lightly. I remember I was watching it yesterday, and it got to the point where Helen Mirren's character was introduced.
Yeah.
She's going over Anna's file, and Luc Besson decided not to show us all of her training or whatever, and we just assumed, okay, she's completed all of her KGB training, and here she is. She's ready for the field. And here's Helen Mirren playing a Russian, and she's looking at the file, and Luke Evans keeps wanting to point at stuff because, he's got like a personal attachment for Anna, and he's trying to like sell her to Helen Mirren, and he keeps pointing into the file, and Helen Mirren just keeps slapping his hand away, just like that, And I just thought, this is awesome. Like, I already had a positive experience up until then, but I just felt like there was so much detail to the characters that it felt alive. It felt like these actors had done, character work. Like they had decided, oh, okay, my character's going to be like this.
Yeah.
I don't even know if that was like a direction by Luc Besson to have that little moment of her slapping Luke Evans' hand away. I just thought that's just a nice touch, and it makes me remember these people. And it makes me feel like these people, little gestures like that where people can feel comfortable enough to invade someone else's space and then feel comfortable enough in return to actually touch them back, right?
Yeah.
That speaks to another layer of relationship between these two characters. Maybe it has nothing to do with the story itself, but that doesn't matter. It just makes the story feel more alive and brings it more into reality for me. And so I remember stopping. More interesting. What's that?
It makes them more interesting as well. So Absolutely. You're more interested in them.
Yeah. I remember at that point just saying, maybe out loud, I don't remember, but I remember pausing the movie and just the thought in my head was, this is an excellent movie. And it was so surprising for me because even though I enjoy Luc Besson movies, I enjoy them more for their fun popcorn factor more than what I was getting from this movie. Like this felt like, I don't know, it almost felt, I wouldn't say high art, but it felt like the attention to detail that you would normally get in, say, something more independent, where we're hyper focused on these characters rather than the story. So there you
or
go.
maybe in kind of this new age of television, you see some of that as well, but not usually in a movie these days.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I'm just gonna have to agree with you since I don't watch a lot of TV. But that was my initial impression. I don't know, Brian, did you want to go back to more of your opinion, or were you ready to transition?
No, I want to delve a little bit. I thought that they did a really good job with unfolding the script. This is a movie that 20 minutes in, I wasn't sure where it was even going, but I was along for the ride. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like the very first thing we do, very first thing he does is something that I think a lot of movies mistake or they miss this, and that is to set the stakes. Sure, there's death and this and that, in lots of movies, and okay, people could die, sure. But this is like a step above that. Like the people in the beginning are being hunted, and then there's a message that's being sent, literally being sent to one of the main characters in it. And I'm just like, oh, I love it. I love that, now we know that it's not just going to be death. This is going to be ruthless. This is the world we're living in. And it kind of immediately grounded me, not just, with the character work, but the ideas that they were doing it with, and the action elements were sparse, but they were like just enough. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's almost like, I looked at that opening scene, since we really don't see those players again, almost like a trailer, the trailer that really piques your attention. Yeah. And I was like, oh, this is just so cool. This is a movie I want to see like right now. I'm glad I'm in it. You know what I mean? Right. So I thought that was really neat. I also felt like the story was really naturalistic in terms of how it did expand. I thought it was going to be about this girl and this guy is robbing banks, and maybe she gets caught up in this and that. And no, it's going a different direction.
Right.
But it sets it up. It sets up her character in such an interesting way. And then, we see, what's his name? Luke Evans. The first time we see him, that scene between the two of them was just like, to me, it was like, there are so many scenes like that in movies, and we're going to show you how to do it right.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, yeah. So this, again, the stakes are set, and who's in control. You think one thing, then you think another, and then I won't go into the spoiler territory, but his reaction as a result of what happens is just like, man, I really am not familiar with Luke Evans. I just don't know his work.
Yeah.
But I'm a fan right now. I mean, this guy is good. This is well written.
Yeah.
It's nuanced, and I felt like there was a restraint there. Maybe Luc Besson wouldn't have had this restraint 15 years ago when he was doing his crazy Fifth Element stuff.
Right.
But it felt really mature and interesting, something I didn't expect in something which is really kind of an action movie. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So, from that standpoint, I was really, really pleased. You mentioned, what's her name? Helen Mirren. I got to tell you, I didn't even know that was her.
Oh.
I had no idea. I mean, she like escaped into the character so well.
Yeah.
But I didn't even recognize her. Honestly, until I was doing this review and I looked, I'm like, Helen Mirren is in this? That was Helen Mirren. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
That is a sign of a well-written movie to me.
I totally agree. Let me just jump in here about Helen Mirren. I didn't even know she was in the movie until I saw her name in the opening credits. And I was like, okay, let me look for Helen Mirren. And then when her character appeared, I was like, that's Helen Mirren? Wow, this is great.
Yeah.
And, there wasn't any, I think she really worked on her accent. I mean, maybe she does a good Russian accent already. I mean,
yeah.
It's like it's been a long time since I've seen White Knights, right? Do you remember White Knights, Brian?
Never saw it.
Man, I hope I'm saying the name of the movie correctly. It had Gregory Hines and Baryshnikov, I think his name is.
Wow.
He's a dancer.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it's from...
So's Hines.
Oh, no, I know. I just, Hines is an actor, though. He's done a lot of movies. Baryshnikov, if I'm even saying his name right. I think this is his only movie where he was like a principal character. In any event, I think I'm pretty sure Helen Mirren is in that movie. And, I'm not sure if she plays... I saw this when I was in the single digits of my life, so...
No excuses.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect recall. That's what's expected.
Yeah, so Helen Mirren, she... it was very surprising. And I think even though she's not like a lead necessarily, it's her... I think she plays an integral role in this movie.
Yeah.
Because of how she brings her character to life. Like the movie would be way less without her. Right? Like typically when you have these kind of like handler characters, it's like, okay, I don't really care. Like I understand your function within the movie, right? But I actually looked forward to seeing her just because of, what her character brought to the story.
Right. And her relationship with the main character.
Yeah,
I mean, it was
totally
interesting. It wasn't like you couldn't quite pin it down. All the way to the end. I was like, well done. I mean, you're right. She was integral to the whole movie's success. Absolutely. I thought her accent was phenomenal. And even Luke Evans, I honestly, since I didn't know him too well, I just thought he was a Russian guy. I didn't know he was an English guy. I'm like, wow, that did not sound like, a stereotypical type of Russian dialect. It felt like he had studied, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And there's nuance to it. And that was just really cool. The main actress, Sasha Luss, I guess she's a model, I guess. I don't really know her from anything.
That would make sense to me. She's pretty tall.
Pretty tall, tall.
And she's
thin.
got the looks, all of that.
She's got the looks.
She just made me think of like, okay, so she's Mila Jovovich's replacement.
Right.
Okay. I mean, they have the exact same accent. You know what I mean? It's like, and she's doing action that Mila would have done. So I'm like, okay, All right.
back in the day, right?
Yeah.
I thought the same thing. Um, so, I guess a subtle critique of the movie would be that there's a lot that has to happen for the movie to progress, in terms of someone finding her or picking her out in a crowd and finding her like the one that they want to talk to. It happens several times. And without that, I don't think the movie progresses necessarily. So, I personally, I don't really find her attractive, but I can see how she has that model-esque look. You know what I mean?
You find her attractive. Wow.
No. But if you want to talk about her girlfriend, Maud Lyra Abova,
I mean, she's pretty too.
No. She's another level, my friend. She's another level. Yeah.
Okay.
I've asked around. This has been corroborated.
Okay. That's fine.
But anyway, but Sasha Luss, I felt like she was terrific in the role too. And of course, what's the thing you're looking for in a role like this besides the character work? Is she going to be believable when the action scenes start?
Yeah.
And she was. I mean, that, like, especially when she took off the white coat and started going to work. It's way over the top. Of course, it's supposed to be. It's fun, but I bought it. I bought like her movement. I felt like she did some training for the movie. I honestly haven't enjoyed a scene like the first action scene, as much as I would say since maybe John Wick. Okay. I really enjoyed that first scene. Honestly, the other scenes with her weren't quite as good in terms of the action, because we started to get into the tropes that were like a little bit unbelievable to me. But I was really engaged in the first one, especially. Yeah, I can't really go into it. Maybe spoilers. We can talk about that deeper.
All
right. So I have a couple more things to talk about, but I'll turn it over to you for a second. Anything you want to talk about in terms of like the plot? Did you feel like did it resonate with you? Did it feel believable?
Yeah. I mean, everything was great. Like I had expected. So just to echo something you'd said earlier about restraint, there definitely, I felt like, I don't even know how old Luc Besson is, but I felt like this movie was just more mature, like a more mature filmmaking, I guess, from, just moody, set decor, to the writing. It felt like it felt thought out and complete, and like smart, right? And it really defined who these characters are, and especially Anna, right? Like when she's approached by the KGB in the beginning, how that scene plays out, and how she, as you point out, who has the power here, and who is willing to do what it takes to win this confrontation.
Yeah.
I just thought, like, that's awesome. That's great, right? And it wasn't just that scene. Like, her actions in that scene actually, they are consistent throughout the movie. So, I really, I can't say enough good things about this movie. As far as the plot goes, I guess what I was working up to say is I had expected the movie to at some point go way over the top, the way that like Lucy did. Right. Like it went insane, like insanity level. Like what happened to this movie? And I was waiting for Luc Besson to like flip the switch, and suddenly aliens descend. Oh no, spoilers. Just kidding. Anyway, 8 for aliens to just descend, and now she's got to like fight off aliens. Like she'll rip off the cannon off a tank or something, and just like start shelling alien ship.
Right.
But that doesn't happen, and so I was very, very pleased with this movie overall. Like you, I have very little to complain about. Maybe you appreciated the first big action sequence more than I did. I thought it was good, and I thought, given how we're supposed to feel about this character, okay, fine, I can go with it. It wasn't so over the top that, you know, I said, okay, I don't buy it. I don't buy this, you know, 100-pound woman taking on, you know, 50 guards who are supposed to have guns. Ostensibly, they have guns, you know, but a la John Wick, let me run as close to you as possible so you can disarm me. Yeah. So there we are. Those are my initial thoughts at this point. Please continue.
You know, the more I think about it, I think most of my other stuff is really spoiler territory, because I wanted to go a little bit deeper into some of the scenes. So if you want to go give a more of your general, feel free to. But I think I'll hold until we go to spoiler territory.
All right. I don't even know if this qualifies as spoilers either. But I'll you tell me as I talk. So let me just say that I was very impressed by what's the actor's name? Anna.
Anna. Sasha Luss.
Sasha
Luss. Mm-hmm.
I thought her acting, I didn't have any expectation. She's a fresh face to me, right? I don't know who this lady is, and so I had no expectations about her acting. Well, I had no good expectations. Let's put it that way. I was expecting, hey, it's a Luc Besson movie. You know, it's gonna be, you know, over the top and, you know, silly lines that they're gonna have to say or whatever. But
some eye candy.
What's that?
Some eye candy, you know.
Yeah,
exactly.
But, you know, she kept surprising me, you know, in the various scenes that she was in. And, you know, there is, I don't know if it qualifies as nudity. Is toplessness nudity?
Yeah.
Okay.
A little bit.
Well, there are some steamy scenes in this movie, which was surprising and refreshing because, you know, it's like, I feel like now that pornography is so prevalent and so easily accessible on the internet, that movies, they don't really have you know, extended sex scenes anymore, and the ones that do, they come off as I don't know, almost childish. It's hard to explain. You know, when you are inundated with like the real thing in like the most clinical fashion, it's like, okay, you know, you got these people having sex with their clothes on or something, right? It's just like, okay, I don't even need to see this. Let's just move on. It's not titillating me in any way, right? Like, we get the point. You could have just faded out 2 minutes ago and then get back to the story. But here, I was like, it wasn't just titillation. There was acting. There was two characters communing, you know, through these actions on the screen. They just happened to be sex. And so, once again, this goes back to the whole Luc Besson is this is a mature film. Like it is art. It's, you know, a real story here. It's not just entertainment. I don't know if I'm even conveying what I want to convey. I mean, I hope I'm getting my point across. And so, you know, for, you know, this fresh face who I don't know how many films she's done before, you know, to handle these scenes so professionally, and so to be so vulnerable, at least that's what I picked up in at least, you know, some of these scenes. I was very impressed by that.
Yeah. She had a full range of emotions. I mean, when she was angry, I felt like she was angry. When she was in that place where her back's against the wall and she has no choices, and I felt it was really believable. I mean, I think she did a terrific job in the role.
Yeah.
I couldn't actually, you know, you mentioned Mila Jovovich earlier, and I don't think she has that range. I mean, this is a well done movie. You know, this is the well done part. You know, when she, I don't want to go into spoilers, but
all right, let's just go to spoilers now, Brian.
Well, before we do, maybe we should decide. I think it's pretty obvious if we're going to flick or pick. So, René,
this is a hard pick for me, Brian. Hard pick.
One. A hard pick.
It's a hard pick.
Not as in difficult. It's good.
Not difficult.
Pick that hard.
Yeah.
Well, I'm diving in with you, brother.
Do it.
I'm picking it. I'm picking it hard.
Yes.
So I guess we should go to our spoiler break.
Spoiler break. You gotta like do a little thing. So credit where credit is due. Brian created our intro for us, and so Brian, you gotta create a little spoiler break thing here, and I could just like go to that. You know.
Oh, during the show?
Yeah, during the show.
Okay, we can do that. Might be a few weeks, but we'll get
All
there.
right, yeah, whatever.
All right, so since we are in spoiler territory, the scene where, you have to kind of watch it twice because they go back to it again. But that scene where they have kind of the double agent thing coming up, and she meets the U.S. agents when she goes to murder the guy in his room,
Yeah.
and where she comes out and the way she plays it, like she has to kind of gather her thoughts for a second outside the door. I'm sure the stage direction was given, but that journey from the door to see Helen, what's her name
Mirren.
again?
Helen Mirren.
Olga in the show.
Yeah.
To see Olga and report, and how broken up she is, and then seeing the scene play again afterwards and seeing the other layers that are going on underneath that. Like I really thought, I bought it the first time and I bought it the second time. I'm like, she's really doing a great job. And, one of the things with a movie like this, which is rare for us, or rare for me, I should say, is that like I enjoyed going back to this movie to kind of recalibrate again. After I watched it the first time, I watched it again. And those scenes really play well. I mean, it holds up immediately on the other levels that you're saying.
Yeah.
Because, from the very first scene, or not the very first scene, but the first scene in the Moscow marketplace, where she's being misdirected, when that happened, I was just like, that's weird. What a rude dude. Boom, it's explained. And it's like all these little things kind of fall into place and reward the viewer who.
I picked up on that the first time I saw that.
Yeah. I mean, you thought that was weird, right? That happened?
Well, I figured there was something going on that this guy was being directed. I didn't
know he was
understand
being directed.
what that scene, what was happening necessarily,
Right.
but I felt like, okay, that is not coincidence. Like, my mind immediately went to The Truman Show.
Okay, sure.
And there's a scene in The Truman Show when he's trying to visit his wife at the hospital. And there's a guy who comes out with, like, this car, this, like this movable shelf thing, I don't know what you call them. And he's like blocking Truman, and anyway.
It's a great movie.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's that. I don't remember what I was going to say next, so
sorry, bro.
Jump in. Feel free to. I'm on Truman Show now.
Oh, okay. Well, let me just say, Cillian Murphy is. Well, I was going to say throw some historical stuff about him and my life, but I'll just skip all that and just say he's 5'9", right?
Uh-huh.
Like he's 3 inches taller than me, right? So he'd be like there or whatever. And so to just see him in that scene in the closet with the girl, and he's like basically shorter than her, or maybe possibly the same height when she's not wearing heels. I was just like, man, how tall is this lady? She must be statuesque. You know what I mean?
If she's a real model, she's probably like 5'10".
Oh, yeah, at least.
She looked it,
right?
Yeah.
And then I also thought, man, Cillian Murphy's, they must have done something to, like, make him look pudgier and older. Because in that scene, when you're just, like, zoomed up on the side of his face, I mean, you look at this. Look at what's going on here, right? Especially with this harsh lighting straight down. This is what I kept thinking of when, we were looking at Cillian Murphy and he's talking to her. You know what I mean? I'm like, dude, I know he's supposed to be American. He's Irish, by the way, everyone. But he's supposed to be American. Did they have to make him look all pudgy and stuff?
I didn't pick up on any of that. I thought he looked great as usual.
Okay. Well, he looked great in some scenes. In the closet scene, when they're just, like, stuck face to face like this.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if he had to, like, hold his head back like that and it just accentuated all of this extra skin because he's getting older. You know what I mean? Or maybe my eyes are just deceiving me. Whatever. The other thing I wanted to say about Cillian Murphy, these are just, like, random thoughts, really, at this point, is if this movie had been made, we'll say 30 years ago, his role would have been played by Michael Keaton. You close your eyes, and you just like listen to like the delivery of the lines and stuff.
Okay.
Like during the interrogation and all that. Or maybe you squint a little bit. You got to squint because, you know, they both kind of have that same demeanor, you know, the furrowed brows and the kind of the clipped speaking, you know. It's hard to explain. I don't know if clipped is the right word. But anyway, it just sounded like a Michael Keaton delivery.
Interesting.
Watch it again, Brian, and tell me, now that I've suggested you.
I can see it. No, I have a very good recollection of it. I definitely could see it. Huh. Interesting.
Okay, so the fight scene. Yeah, you know, fine. It here's what saves it for me. Here's what elevates it from just being an average girl power, she can do anything, and it's ridiculous, right? Scene is that it wasn't the way it begins was very unexpected. You know, she's told to go in and kill this guy. She's given the gun, and you know, on her first big test mission, her handler is like messing with her. Yeah. You know, and I just thought, that's so screwed up, but it's so awesome for a scene. You know, it's like, oh my God. Like here's the thing. Here's the mark of a well-written movie, at least for me.
Yeah.
It makes me wish I had written it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I feel like just to, you have to write this big action sequence, and then you challenge yourself as a writer and say, well, how can I make it cool? Right? How can we get into the fight and have it be interesting and, you know, that it's unexpected? And this surprised me. And I was like, I can imagine Luc Besson's just that epiphany, just like jumping out of his chair, like, I got it, you know, and just like, he's so excited he can't even like type it out, right? Because I get that way. And I want to believe that writers have this kind of like shared experience, you know, like no matter where you are in the timeline of writers, like we are all connected, you know, going back to like Shakespeare, right? And I always feel a sense of pride thinking about that. And so
he's got his quill up in the air. It's like, boom, ink's just flying everywhere.
And then Juliet kills herself. Yes! Anyway, but there are moments there where I just had to like say, okay, I'm going with it. You know, when she rips off there's like a handle on the bar, right? The bar top, the drinking bar for people who haven't seen the movie. It looks like this metal rod on the side. You know, people will like lean on, I guess, or whatever. She rips it off the side of the bar, right? And she uses it to impale a dude. And I'm like, okay, all right. Oh, and then later, this like 250-pound dude clobbers her, like hits her over the head with one of those, those velvet rope stands. I don't know what those are called. Just like, boom, just clubs her with all his might. And she doesn't fall unconscious, or she should. Her skull should be caved in. Exactly. Nope. The KGB has trained her to withstand skull blows from heavy objects.
Stanchions, I think they're called.
Oh, cool! Look at you, Brian. Look at you. Look at the big brain on Brian.
Oh my goodness.
Well, Brian, I've been ranting for a little bit here. Have you regained your train of thought?
Oh yeah, I'll just piggyback on what you said, because I think that the fight scene at the end was where I kind of was not as interested. I felt like it was just kind of going through the motions, you know, she's just shooting people, and then they're shooting at her, and they can't hit her. Yeah. And then we have the guys. There are like 5 guys or something, where she's in some sort of like corridor, and there are 5 guys, and they're coming at her from behind. They all got batons. I'm like, why would they have batons?
I know.
You should be dead. Shoot her. What are you doing? You know, but they all come at her with batons, and she defeats them all. So that's where it wasn't as interesting to me. Or she jumps down like that chute, and they're all shooting at her as she jumps down the chute, and no one can hit her. Yeah. You know, and then they look at her, and they can see her from above. You know, but then she's fighting other people, so I guess they stop shooting at that point because it's convenient. So
she's too pretty, bro.
Well, anyway, things like that I didn't really care for too much, but I felt like it had to happen. Like she had to escape somehow. but I like that the expectations, there was some mirroring going on in the movie, you know, in terms of her being backed into the corner by the Russian guy, Luke Evans, and making her decision, and her being backed into the corner by Cillian Murphy, and her saying, you know, kill me, you know, although she didn't stand that for long, she talked her way out of it.
Yeah.
But I felt like there were some interesting things going on, like her first assignment, you know, they're waiting outside for 5-6 minutes and they bail, you know, and she comes out, you know, and then they have the nice scene where she comes afterwards to see Olga. And on this one here as well, you know, she's got Cillian Murphy and his guys waiting outside and she can't get out.
Right.
Just I like when there are mirrors within the movie, especially when they feel organic. So that to me is things like that, and believing every character in it was just a sign of good writing for me. Like I felt like it was like just the right amount of characters that I cared about, you know, but I cared about every single one of the main characters, not just the hero, you know. And I think that's cool. Like I kind of wanted her to end up with Luke Evans' character. I kind of wanted her to end up with Cillian Murphy's character, maybe a little bit, you know, but you know, my heart of hearts, I'm hoping she ends up with the girl. And in fact, that's the scene that I think is missing. Yeah. At the end, like I figured after credits roll, I'd see the two of them driving in their convertible
in Hawaii.
No, I thought it'd be funnier if they drive and it says "Welcome to Arizona," you know, because that was kind of thrown in as a joke. It would have been clever because they would never look Arizona. Who's going to go to Arizona?
Anyway, so I too was waiting for the reunion with the girlfriend because she, you know, Anna shaves her head and she looks very similar to the girlfriend. But it also makes sense that she doesn't go back to the girlfriend because the girlfriend is essentially compromised, you know, because Cillian Murphy knows about her and they're going to probably observe it, you know, just to make sure, whatever, you know, who knows. Which is why I think that whole scene where Cillian Murphy busts in on her is there, just to show like, okay, this connection is cut off now.
All three are cut off.
Yeah, of course. But I'm just saying. By the
way, I think that was, I thought the actress, again, what's her name? Lyra Abova. Don't know her, but the girl who played her girlfriend, I thought she did a terrific job in that. Like I was really watching her to see if she was going to be nuanced, you know, and I thought everything was perfect. And then when they left and she broke down, it was like, it didn't feel like acting to me. I feel like she was truly reacting to what was happening to her. And I thought it was just really nicely, like every scene, they really looked like every sequence was very pure from that standpoint. You know, there's nothing, none of the actors were letting the other ones down. It felt like they were all elevated in this. Yeah,
totally. But I did feel bad for the girlfriend only because I felt like of all the characters, well, there's another character I'll get to in a second. Of all the characters in the movie, she was the one who was used the most. Like, just used. Like I didn't feel like there was any, by the end of the movie anyway, I didn't feel like there was any real connection to her from Anna's part.
And she was the most confused, had to be the most confused, too.
Absolutely.
Everyone else knows what's going on. She's like, what is happening?
But the other character that I felt really bad for is the body double, right at the very end, because it's like this girl was just killed just so she could be the person who takes your place, and everyone will think you're dead. And it's not like this girl is just like, oh, she died from natural causes, you know, weeks ago or whatever. Right. You know, it's like they had to she has to be fresh, right? Like a coroner is gonna be like, wait a second, her blood's been coagulated for weeks. This doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So, but, you know, we'll just say chalk it up to, you know, Anna is, at the end of the day, she is a survivalist and she'll do whatever it takes to survive. Yeah. So, sorry, Miss Blonde Bystander.
Well, it's probably her double from earlier in the movie, too. Probably the same one.
So I guess it's possible. Sure.
Yeah. So they probably paid off her family, you know, give them a good life, and that's the sacrifice you make. Who knows? You know.
You have to die a horrible death getting shot 9 times in the abdomen. Oof.
Times. Yeah. Hey, do you remember the guy in The Fifth Element when at the beginning of the movie that goes to rob Bruce Willis? He's got the hat, he's like, give me the dough.
Yeah. Right.
That guy?
Yeah.
I honestly thought, and I had to look it up and I was wrong, but I thought that was the photographer in this movie. The one who got beaten up. Yeah. Because he had that same kind of vibe to him and the way he delivered his lines. Yeah. Like something bad's going to happen to this guy pretty soon because, I think it's the same guy, but apparently it was not. But, that was maybe one of the few times when it went over the top, and just had fun. We just had fun with it. I was going into the movie, to echo something you said earlier, I was going to the movie really thinking this is just going to be a fun popcorn movie. Lots of people dying, John Wick, good stuff. Right. And I was, pleasantly surprised by this movie. And I was like, I wish that I had the same reaction to like John Wick 3, that I had to this one. I wish that was like at the same level. But,
right. So, if we compare it, I'm sorry, am I cutting you off? Right?
No, please.
So if we compare this to John Wick 3, John Wick 3 is what I was expecting this movie to be like, where it starts off, semi-grounded, right? And maybe there are some semi-over-the-top elements, like, because there's this secret assassin group or whatever, and they have their rituals. Like, okay, fine. But, John Wick 3 just went, like, insane. Go to the desert, you got to talk to the man in the sky, whatever the hell he was called, and all of that. Yeah, chop off your finger, and then we're going to burn. And it's like, what happened, bro? What happened? Let's go back to the, throwing knives into each other. That, we were with you. We're killing people with a book. We were with you there, too. I know this is kind of going into a John Wick 3 review, but I was at the press screener, right? So, very quickly, press screeners are just full of, like, disaffected movie reviewers, right? Yeah. And they're just watching, not to enjoy, but to know what to write for their review. Their word count. Okay, yeah, exactly. Like, they're already writing the review as they're watching so that they don't have to spend any more time on this movie. All right.
Right.
Even if they like the movie, So, in this particular press screening, like, people were cheering, and they were like reacting to the visceral deaths and stuff in that antique weapon store, whatever the hell it was.
So this is in John Wick 3.
John Wick 3, yeah.
Okay. Early, I'm imagining.
Absolutely, yeah. This is the beginning, like the
early in the movie, yeah.
Yeah.
It was good. Yeah.
And then, we were all just like, oh, man, if this is the beginning, it's going to get crazier. The violence is going to be so awesome. And then we were all just disappointed. We're just like, oh, it is crazier, but not in a good way.
Yeah.
In a very bad way. Oh, they train dogs. We have to watch dogs do tricks. Oh, okay.
Most of the bad guys have no idea how to act or handle a gun. Okay.
Yeah. And then, the
every
big
one of them is
shootout.
going to make a bad decision.
What's that?
Every one of the bad guys is going to make a bad decision.
Totally.
No one's going to use their head at all.
Yeah. No cover, nothing.
No.
And then, the whole sequence in the hotel, it's like, oh, they've got body armor. We need more firepower. I'm like, oh.
More guns. Lots of guns.
Yeah, come on, man. We get it. You're not going to die. There's only so many ways. And then after that, we got to watch him fight, like, these other guys with... Anyway, enough of John Wick.
How funny would it have been if he said, I need guns, lots of guns. And I said, you got one gun. Figure it out. And then he asked, like, old school and figure out how to do it.
Yeah, exactly. That would have been great.
Yeah.
Or as he's killing the dudes, he takes their gun.
Sure.
And at the end, he just walks back to the vault where the dude is. And he's just got all these guns in his arms. Lots of guns. Guns. Lots of them.
I'm sorry. I didn't realize Arnold was in this one. Okay, cool, man. Maybe we should wrap this one up.
Well, I feel like there's more to say about this movie. And let me just get this one last thing because I thought it was very striking, even though it's like inconsequential, really. When we do the first flashback to Anna's beginnings, and she's walking, she goes through the store, and she's walking home with like two bags of vegetables.
Yeah.
And then she goes through this horrific, but really well done, well executed car chase scene. Probably the best I've seen in a long time. Like, it actually got me excited, right? Like, it made me flash back to Lucy, because there's a car chase sequence in that as well.
Right.
And it just felt very perfunctory. Like, okay, they're going to have a near miss in this intersection, and, this car is going to crash into that. Okay, I get it. Almost like, like a sex scene. It's like, okay, just fade out and let's get back to the real story.
Right.
But here, I thought, like, wow, I feel like these shots I haven't seen in a chase scene before. I'm not going to try to regenerate it here, verbally, when it's meant to be, a visual experience. So,
sure.
But, I really recommend people to watch it and focus on this chase sequence and let me know, if my reaction to it is warranted. But anyway, so you mentioned mirroring, and when she comes back when she goes home with her boyfriend, after the car flips over, she's still carrying the bags of vegetables, and it's the same kind of shot where the camera's way low and we just see the bags near the ground. And I just thought, that's art, right? That's beautiful. And what does it say about the character as well? Yeah. That she is practical, that she knows what is important for survival,
sure.
Food, even on like just a basic level, right? So there we are. Just things that popped out at me, and I just wanted to get that last one out.
I mean, that scene was kind of my favorite in the entire movie, to be honest with you, though. When she got into the apartment, I mean, I felt the same way. And, if I'm going to do my digging a little bit deeper, she's holding on to sustenance, right?
Yeah.
This is kind of like what her life is down to now. It's down to 2 bags. The boyfriend said to go pack the bags, and she sat down. This is before she saw the guy. She sat down. So that was a decision she made. Like, she's like, there's no point at this point. This is all I got. I'm not going to run. And that's when she sees Luke Evans' character. And I'm like, what a setup. And by the way, I was talking earlier about the production design. That whole apartment, I mean, everything was just, I don't know if it was the lighting or the textures or what they did, but the whole thing was so cool and not overdone. It just felt lived in a way. I know you haven't watched Chernobyl yet, but I think the very first scenes, you'll see in it as well, have that same characteristic to them, where you really get a sense of the character through the space that they're in. So I love that. And then, just to kind of echo what I said earlier about that interaction between her and Luke Evans' character, Alex, it was such a surprise that I was looking forward to watching it the second time. And seeing, was it really that good? Because it really, I mean, the interaction is really good. Her energy level, her reaction to when her boyfriend gets shot, the questions she asks, she slits her wrist, his reaction, he doesn't even do one of those. It's just so composed. You know what I mean? And I haven't seen that kind of characterization in a while. It's really, really a surprise, man. Yeah. This was a surprising movie to me. I know this is one you recommended that you want to see, but I think that this just didn't get a huge play.
So yeah, that's something we didn't address. This isn't a movie that I saw a trailer for, that I saw ads for, like banner ads or anything, right? And typically, first of all, let me just say, I'm on the press list for a lot of publicists in Hollywood, right? So even just crappy things, they're sent my way so that I can write a review about them. And of course, I don't watch 90% of the movies that are sent my way anymore. Nevertheless, I would have thought a Luc Besson movie would have been advertised to me, at least. And the only reason I knew about this movie is another YouTuber who I like, who doesn't actually even review movies, just mentioned it. And I was like, oh, I've never heard of that. Let me check it out. And that's when I sought out a trailer. And I was like, okay, I'll watch this.
Yeah.
And man, lucky me, because this is a great movie. This is one of those movies that I want to own. It's a movie that it makes me feel proud to share it with someone who likes movies. Like, man, you got to watch this movie. And it's like, it's rare that I feel that way about any movie these days.
It's true, especially the Hollywood. Maybe that's why we didn't see it in the theaters advertised so much. I remember seeing something, I think it was a long time ago, probably while they were trying to sell it at a festival. You know, I remember seeing a trailer about it early on, and then it completely, like, you know, left my realm of consciousness. I didn't even remember this thing.
Yeah.
So this is I think Ebert would have called this one of the hidden gems, you know, that people are going to enjoy, and I hope it gets a second life on video and people are able to enjoy it, and I definitely will be telling people about it.
Well, based on our review alone, Brian, of course,
This is our most
reviews.
highly rated movie out of 12 weeks so far.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're young, but I don't think we're going to hit this level in a while.
Yeah, considering what's on the horizon.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Once again, if you liked this episode, please give us a like and subscribe, and we will see you in the next episode.
Comment, and then maybe do some motions like that. Flick.
Is that what we're doing?
Flick the like button.
Flick it. Oh, hey now, loud.
Pick
shirt.
the like button.
loud cable. Okay.
All right.
That's it. Goodbye.
See ya. Oh. Peace.